Sup guys, this is Corrupted, back with another build idea video. So this one's going to be a little bit weird. This is my Harlowe build. I haven't seen anyone talk about something like this. I'm still not sold on the augment yet, but because I'm not really into Harlowe's playstyle, because I like more like the punch motherfucker in the face until they die sort of stuff. But I think I found a way I can kind of do that with Harlowe, and I wanted to share it with you guys today. So let's get into it. I call this the Masenko Harlowe build after Masenko from Dragon Ball, because gonna shoot several smaller unstable energy pockets and trying to just blow everything up. So this is what I went with. I went with 5 points into field ready prototype, because if that's 30%, like it probably will be, like it's not guaranteed, but there's a good chance that it's 6 point thing per thing. It's just gonna give you 30% more damage, and that's really good, especially because the base damage of this thing is, the pass by is 269, and then it's 807 for the detonation. So 30%, that's another almost 250%, something around there on the detonation. So that's massive. So that's why I'm going with that. And then I'm going increased elemental damage and status effect, 5 in there. So elemental damage, it's because the action skill is all elemental damage. It does cryo damage when it passes people, radiation damage when you nuke it. So why not just go as much elemental damage as possible, since it's elemental damage? And that 40% will go into it, and that's huge. If that's 40%, it's going to be huge. And then that sounds awesome. Whenever she activates or re-triggers a action skill, if it's a 30% movement speed increase, I'm going to grab that. And then I'm going to grab the one in here. It's not necessarily because I think it's OP or anything. It's just I like the idea that since this is a cryo heavy build, like the idea is I just want to do a ton of cryo damage with this. Like we'll see when we get further down in the tree what I mean. But I wanted to be able to mess up shields, since I can just destroy armor. I wanted something that would mess up shields, and it gives you a little bit of survivability too on top of it. So that's why I went with that. And then we're going to go 5 points into mechanical brilliance. So it's whenever Harlowe damages an enemy with a skill, she gains increased skill damage. Now this is super important, because shout out to Moxie again. He asked what the scaling for Entangled's damage is, and it scales off skill damage, not action skill damage. And that's very important to distinguish between those two, because all action skill damage is considered skill damage, but not all action skill damage is skill damage. So there's other things that scale with skill damage, like like Elephant's Foot is a good example. That would scale off skill damage. So this would buff that, but it would also buff Chroma Accelerator, which just, especially if that's going to be 10% per stack with 50% increase, like that's going to be huge for the detonation of that. Like that detonation's going to just and just destroy a room. If that's a 50% increase, that's huge. And then I'm doing 1 point into Eureka, because I want to just be shooting these Chroma accelerators like crazy. So I shoot a free one, and if it's affected by the augment, it's just going to shoot 5 mini ones. So it's got like the one and then the mini ones. And then to get down the tree, I'm just going to go with highly efficient. So if you played Borderlands 2, you know Gage had a similar skill, Blood Soaked Shields. And that was so good with so many of the shields in the game. And I'm assuming it's the same way here. So that's why we're going with that, especially if that goes up to 40%. That's a lot of survivability. Or if there's like a B shield replacement or something like that, that's huge. That's a huge amount of damage and survivability all in one. And then the entire reason I gonna eventually build Harlowe is QED. It it's a melee override, or are they calling it drive now? I'm not 100% sure. It could just be a typo on max roll, but you punch an enemy with a miniature version of your action skill. It has a 30-second cooldown, and why that's important is melee overrides are skills. Like we learned that from my earlier interview where they talked about Vex, and she also has a melee override. And so if you stack this up with Entangle, because Entangle is considered a skill, you can get this up at the 50% and then punch someone in the face, and then it goes from doing 430 to what, 542 or 52 damage without any multipliers or anything. Like, that's huge. And then we're going to come over here and grab Carry the 1. So now we don't have to worry about hitting people anymore. It's if we entangle one person, the dude next to him gets entangled. So we're just spreading the love. And then we're grabbing Break the Ice. Going to convert all of her action skill damage into cryo. That way, when we get over to the next tree that we're going into, the Seize the Day tree, you'll see the synergy there. And so we're going to grab Make Extraordinary. So this is, in my opinion, the entire reason the build will probably work in the first place. So it gives you the ability to crit with skills, and it increases every time you entangle an enemy. So we saw with there's a 10% chance if that goes up to 50 every time you entangle somebody. So you should be able to stack it up super fast. And so let's say it stacks. So I'm assuming it gets 10% base and then you get another 10%. And so if it's just going to bounce around like crazy and it just crits all the time is what I'm hoping it does. We don't know for sure, but that's the hope. But that's what I'm envisioning at least. So we're going 5 in there and then 5 in a periodic table flip. So it's going to give you increased elemental damage and then cryo effectiveness and everything. And so we're just doing that because all of her skills are going to do elemental damage. And so increasing her elemental damage is just going to increase our damage overall. Now I'm going to put 3 into Precision Engineering. It's just going to give you crit hit damage. Goes into Make Extraordinary. And crit damage, especially in Borderland games, is typically multiplicative with everything else. Like in the past games, it's been the final multiplier for almost every damage. It's not like the fight, but it's been like, I think, the second or third last thing in the damage equation. And so if we can top like an extra 30% to that multiplier, it's going to be so much damage, and it's just free, especially since this makes it where action skill can crit. And then we're going to grab Ripple Effect. Kill skill. Whenever Harlowe kills an entangled enemy, it automatically entangles another person. So that's another way to make Extraordinary get stacked up fast. And then what I talked about in Creative Burst, why the Break the Ice is so important, is because of this skill right here. Keep ice on that. It makes all damage Harlowe deal gain life steal. And then it gives her heals, or not heal steal, but shield steal if she has full health. So that's going to make our melee have life steal. It's going to make our action skill have life steal. And it's going to make it where we theoretically can't really die. Especially if we run around with like a cryo gun, like a Malawan cryo gun or something like that. And so it also feeds into periodic table flip to just get more elemental damage. And then, elemental damage from here gets boosted. And it just all feeds into each other. You get even more skill damage here, which will feed into the elemental damage for your action skill. And then elephant's foot to make them blow up in radiation whenever you lose your shield. And then if your health's full with keep that on ice, you can just refill your shield immediately. And so you could theoretically just do some crazy stuff with it. And then there's also, I don't want to show it just because I don't know who to credit it to. But someone did find one of the class mods for her, the one that Inceptus drops. And what it does is it makes it to where your Chrome Accelerator, it makes Chrome Accelerator consume all your health. And you shoot it out, but it gets like 25% lifesteal. And it amps it. It like increases its damage like double or something like that. Here, I got a picture on my phone, I believe, so I can read you exactly what it says. Exactly what it says. Yep, I got it right here. Whenever Harlowe fires Chroma Accelerator, she drains all but 1 health and amps Chroma Accelerator. Chroma Accelerator gains 20% lifesteal. And then one of the base stats that it gives is lifesteal. We don't know if that lifesteal is the only thing it can roll for a stat, but just having, like, you shoot your Chroma Accelerator, it drains your health, you get approximately 6% lifesteal from that. 6%, let's say max level, you have a couple thousand health. You're probably going to do tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of damage with your action skill. If Borderlands 3 is any indication, maybe even millions. And so you're just going to get back all your health all the time. And then Borderlands famously has health gate. And so since you will have constant lifesteal from your every interaction, since everything's going to be cryo for the most part, you're just going to be constantly back at full. Oh yeah, and we got one point in this just to get a little bit of cooldown, just because we needed to throw 1 point somewhere to get down to the lifesteal. But yeah, this is my idea for Harlowe. I know it's super different from what everyone else is, just because I wanted to make a melee build for Harlowe, and this is what I came up with. I'm definitely going to test it when the game comes out, and I'll do a little showcase for it. Tomorrow, I'm going to showcase my Vex build, and it's also weird. Like, it's real weird, too. Just because, like I said, my preference for how to play a character is much different from other people. So if you guys like what y'all are seeing, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Amon build that I posted the other day. When that hits 10 likes, I'm going to show off my Rafa build, which is a build I haven't seen anyone else talk about. So, and I'm really hyped to show it to you guys. Just make sure the Amon thing hits that 10 like threshold so we can get that made and out. That way everybody else can see the crazy stuff we're cooking up over here. Appreciate y'all for stopping by. And check out the Twitch. Link will be in the description because we will be doing a stream for the launch of 4. So yeah, thanks everyone for stopping by. I appreciate you. And I hope y'all have a good one. Peace.